Welcome back to The Things. My name's Lauren Beck, and joining us all the way from FBOY Island is our sweetheart of the show, Sarah. Sarah, how you doing today, girl?
I'm doing good.
What was the best thing about living with the other women in the house?
Oh my God, it was so great. I loved having two other girls there. I think I would be completely lost without them. And it was really fun. Every single night, CJ and I would game plan, and I had this notebook that we wrote in every single night, and we would try to psychologically break these guys down and figure out who was a nice guy and who was an F-boy, and who was there for the right reasons or wrong reasons. We actually predicted all of the guys on day 5, who everyone was. And I think we got most of them right, except for Chris and New Jared. New Jared was also a confusing one for us.
I agree. New Jared, because I definitely was convinced that he was an F-boy. But then some of the things that he would say and do, I'm like, wait, are you a nice guy? What's going on here?
Yeah, and I think that goes to show, too, not everyone it's not as black and white as the show makes it seem. Not everyone who says they're an F-boy is as bad as they seem, and Welcome is a good example of that. And then not every nice guy is completely nice, So I think there is a lot of middle ground, and that's up to us to decide who was there for the right reasons or not.
On reality shows, we don't get to see every conversation. We don't get to see the ins and outs of your relationship. Can you speak to that in terms of what we didn't see with you and Garrett?
Yes, and I think Garrett and I's relationship throughout the entire season is very confusing for people. I think it is because there are so many storylines. It's hard to keep everything in, and obviously it's a TV show. Not everything is going to be true to life, and not everything is going to make it end. So there was one elimination. It was after the FaceTime with the girlfriend, where Garrett literally got on his knees and cried and was begging for me to keep him, and he was coming on here, I didn't have the right intentions, but I've been learning more about myself and blah blah blah, and he had everyone convinced. Garrett and I did have a lot of good moments that unfortunately didn't make it into the cut, but I feel like it's just one of those things. I have an analogy for it, and I'm sure every girl can relate to liking an F-boy, even though she knows it's not good for her, and having, on the other hand, too, with Josh, he was picture perfect on paper, but at the end of the day, I didn't want to force a connection if it wasn't real. I have the analogy of Garrett being McDonald's and Josh being a 5-course gourmet meal. Even though you should choose the 5-course gourmet meal, at the end of the day, if you want the McDonald's, you're going to go get that McDonald's. And it doesn't make you a weak or stupid person to make that decision. It just makes you human, and not all decisions that you make as a human are going to be healthy.
Was there any hesitation going on to the show after you found out it was called FBOY Island?
Well, we didn't know it was going to be called FBOY Island until we were 3/4 of the way through filming. So even while we were filming, we didn't know what the title was going to be. Obviously, once we started filming, it was pretty obvious, it was nice guys versus F-boys. There's 12 nice guys, 12 F-boys, and it's kind of a battle to see who will win the girl's heart in the end and who will get the $100,000. And that's another thing we didn't know about either. We didn't know how the money was going to work. So my strategy just going into things was just to be myself and have a fun time and act genuine to how I was feeling. And that's exactly what I did, even though it probably screwed me over in the end.
So you, Nakia, and CJ were all turning the boys' heads, as you should. What was the feeling when you saw the 24 potential suitors right off the bat?
It was so overwhelming. I don't know how people on The Bachelor do it, because they're just by themselves and they have to make all of these decisions on the same amount of guys. We had 24 guys to start off with. And so I don't know how one single person could get to know every single guy and feel confident in their decision. Because even with 3 girls between all of the guys, it was still a lot. So that first day when we walked out, that was when we met Nikki Glasser for the first time. We saw all the guys for the first time, and we immediately had to make a decision on who we thought was attractive or who we thought we wanted to get to know better. So it was just very overwhelming. I was just here you go. And I handed out 3 wristbands. And yeah, it was, obviously, I'm more of a personality person. I don't really go for looks, even though, looks play a role, obviously. I think, you can be the hottest guy in the world, but if you don't have a good personality, or if you can't hold a conversation, that's a big deal. So I just was looking to have a connection with some of the guys, and we got the opportunity to do that at the first Cabana date.
So CJ was telling us, we interviewed her earlier in the week.
Oh, nice.
And she was telling us that she felt like she didn't get to spend enough time with the guys. Do you have that same feeling?
Yeah, I think that as well. I feel like all of our conversations are like, they're like 20-minute bursts, and then before you know it, there's another guy saying, "Hey, can I steal you?" Like that classic line. And so it was hard to get to know everyone enough, especially that first week.
So when Matt spilled the beans about Garrett potentially having a girlfriend, were you satisfied with his reasoning and him saying that they were on a break?
Well, Garrett's story would change every day, and that's one of the issues I had with him. My whole thing with Garrett the entire time was I liked him, but I couldn't trust a word he said. Because I don't know, I think you can tell as the audience too, he'll say things for like shock value, or he'll downplay certain things just so he can get ahead. And that was one of the things he downplayed and should not have downplayed from the start. Because at first he said they were on a break, then he said they were broken up and it was mutual. And so that's why I ultimately wanted to get the girl on a FaceTime. And I honestly think that was my best moment on the show, where I was like, you know what? No, I'm sick and tired of like all of these different stories. Like, you can either one, pack your or we can get this girl on a FaceTime and see what she has to say about things. And I think what I was expecting was for her to be like, oh no, like, we're actually still together, or even worse, he like broke up with me to be on the show. He's a horrible person, like blah, blah, blah. And honestly, that would have been an easier answer, I think, if she had said bad things about him, but she had nothing bad to say about him, and it seemed like a mutual breakup. I don't know, CJ thought they were in cahoots, and I could see how that could play off. I mean, it definitely does look like that, but after the show, they've not been together. It's like confirmed they were actually broken up.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was definitely my next question, because a lot of people do assume that they were in cahoots. She did one show, he did another, then maybe we'll get back when the shows are over. But that necessarily wasn't the case. They were broken up when he went out to FBOY.
Yes, that's confirmed.
As I'm sure you know, there's a video circulating in the TMZ streets of you coming out of Erewhon, which all of you that don't live, I think Erewhon's only in LA. It's a bougie market, but they have a lot of good stuff. So Sarah and Garrett and a couple others were seen coming out of that market, and you said that you were willing to hear Garrett out.
He's expressed to me after the show, because none of us, I think it's important to emphasize too, like none of us knew how the money was going to work at the end. And even though like we had to lock in our answers actually before we were at the finale, so it was just basically like, what guy do you like better? And we still had no idea how the money was going to work. And I guess I was under the assumption, because the girls were in charge of the elimination decisions throughout the season, that we would also have some say in who got the money at the end. Or I even thought there was a universe where the girls could take the money and not be with a guy. Even though I knew Garrett was a risky decision at the end of the day, in his position, if I was also presented the chance to take the money, I might have done that. And I think he wanted to express, after seeing how everything went down, and especially like after the finale, I think he wanted to express that he was sorry and he wanted to apologize. And so he's apologized to me in person, and he wants to do a big public apology too. But honestly, I could care less. I'm after everything that went down. That did affect me in a really real way, and I just want to focus on my career and my growth, and not worry so much about him.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's leave him over there in the past, or on FBOY Island.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to ask you about Garrett: do you think that his motives for going on FBOY Island were to be a reality star?
Oh, absolutely. I think he made it very clear that he wasn't there for the money, and that was another reason why I was pretty surprised by his answer at the end, because to me it seemed like a stupid decision to not split the money, because even if you didn't want to be in a relationship with me, at least we could split the 50, like have 50K each, and then we could break up afterwards. I didn't care about that. Like, for him to take the money, he's like forever branded himself as an F-boy, and I think that was the ultimate like you move.
Were there any sneaky links that you had off camera with an F-boy or a nice guy?
There was one night where all three of us, CJ, Nakia, and we all had, I think it was for our F-boy date, where we all just like ran away from producers, and we tried to like run off into the bushes, but it like took, I don't know, we ran away for like 3 minutes and they caught us. But yeah, that was the extent of it.
Looking back, are there any connections that you wish you had made, or maybe stronger connections that you wanted to lean into?
One connection that like got unfortunately overshadowed by Garrett was Josh. I think I think I still made the right decision in the end and don't regret anything that I did because I just followed my heart the entire time. And like I said, I feel like I would, at the end of the day, I would be faking a connection if I chose Josh. But another guy that I wish I had more time with was Welcome. After I eliminated him, I felt like really regretful, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Because he was really genuine and really sweet, and like our personalities got along really well too.
It's interesting though, because like you said, you don't have a lot of time with the guys. So if they're not doing those things and making those connections, and we saw a little bit of hesitation with Josh when he didn't kiss you, and you were like, I'm feeling the vibes, he's feeling the vibes, and it's not happening, and then he waited. Do you feel like him being a little more reserved sort of helped make the decision of choosing Garrett?
No, actually, so Josh was my number one the entire time. The only time I considered even choosing Garrett was after our 24-hour date. So, and I know how stupid that sounds too. Like Josh was I honestly didn't even want to go on the date with Garrett, that final 24-hour date. And I told producers that, I was like, you guys know I'm already going to choose Josh. Like, that's how sure I was going to choose Josh. And the moment that I thought I was going to change my mind or even considered it was when I finally got Garrett outside of the cameras, because again, he's just that person that will like put up an act in front of the cameras, and I wanted to get him away from that and like see if he could take his walls down and just be a real person with me, and I finally got that from him.
What was your favorite part about being on FBOY Island?
They had this whole thing where they took me, CJ, and Nikia out on jet skis, and this was supposed to be our big like intro package, and it just didn't make the cut for some reason, but that was like the best time I ever had. We just like played around in jet skis, and like we just did like a bunch of tricks, and we spent the whole day out on the water, and it was a lot of fun. So I would say like little moments like that where we were just able to like do our own thing and not feel so much pressure, like talking to the guys one-on-one. And also like right after the show too, it was really fun, like talking to the guys and just like collectively like recounting the experience that we all just experienced.
I heard that you're starting to DJ. Is this something that you're doing for fun, or are big Coachella sets on the horizon?
It's something that I actually do want to pursue. So I have a lot of big plans lined up. So I want to start a podcast. I know everyone's starting a podcast now, but I feel like there's not a lot of intelligent content coming from girls my age. I feel like a lot of it is like Instagram or OnlyFans, and there's no shade on that because I'll probably be doing those things anyway, but I think I can provide more to the conversation. So, you know, a podcast would be a big thing for me. And then also, I'm a big fan of festivals and EDM and DJs and things like that. And, you know, I figured why not pursue that if that's something I'm passionate about. So yeah, big things on the horizon. I'm excited.
Sarah, would you go back on FBOY Island if they asked you to for season 2?
Ooh, I would come on as a counselor. I feel like that would be an interesting experience, like helping girls through the process. Because that's something, I definitely got that support from CJ and Nikia, but because, I mean, we were all going through this for the first time together. We were all kind of just like, I don't know, like, not blind, but we just like had no idea what was going on. We were kept in the dark. So it would be interesting to get someone from a previous season to like, you know, kind of show us the ropes and like tell us the red flags to look out for and things like that. So that, I think that would be cool if I came on as a cameo or something.